You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Be sure to smash that like button. First of all, go through the visitor list and who the prominent names were that were on campus this past weekend.
Yeah, let's lead off with five-star linebacker Harold Perkins, who's a New Orleans native, brought a lot of family to campus, and is really one of the mysteries of National Signing Day after he decommitted from Texas A&M earlier this month. He's now set to make that decision on Wednesday. LSU was the last school to host him. Florida's right in there. I've even heard a little Jackson State buzz here or there, but I think that might just be a little bit more rumor mill more than anything. But Harold Perkins is kind of a mystery, but he was on campus with his big family, and they were all able to take it in. A lot of New Orleans folks came over from there and were able to take in the visit. And, I think LSU did a really good job. Who knows where he ends up going, but, the signs, at least if you follow visits, if you follow, any sort of kind of connections, it seems like LSU has put themselves in a decent spot with Harold Perkins, but like I said, he's kind of a mystery. He'll announce on Wednesday afternoon, and it's kind of anybody's guess as to what he'll actually do. That's one that LSU will be sweating all the way to the end. And then five-star safety Jacoby Mathews, who's set to announce at a nice 6:00 in the evening announcement on National Signing Day. But he's a really good prospect from Ponchatoula, a five-star on On3, and someone that seems like has been trending to LSU for a while now. And I think the Tigers are going to probably win out there with Jacoby Matthews and beat out Florida, beat out Texas A&M, some other schools that have really been pushing for him. But having him on campus in that last weekend is really something that stands out to me with his recruitment. And so he was there, which was a good thing for LSU. And then they had Caleb Douglas, a new four-star on On3, had a really solid senior season in the state of Texas. And LSU's battling Florida there. He's one that I think is a little bit more of a toss-up. I'd probably give the Gators the edge right now. He's kind of mulling things over as it stands before his Wednesday afternoon announcement. But Florida's done a really good job recruiting him. The wide receivers coach there over at Florida, Kerry Colbert, had him committed at USC, and then Florida really prioritized him right away when Billy Napier and his staff got hired. So they've kind of been playing with the lead, and LSU made a big push and has given him a lot to think about. And who knows, he could still end up at LSU with the job that Cortez Hankton's been doing to kind of try and close that gap. But he's one that is kind of a toss-up right now. And then Jalen Davis-Robinson out of Waxahachie High in Texas, he owns a 10.5, 10.6, 100-meter time. Really, really elite prospect in that regard, and is pretty raw. Has only been playing defense for a year, but he was on campus with his family. He had just visited Oregon, but it seems like to me LSU's really closed the gap, and the Tigers are probably the team to beat there.
I want to go back to Perkins and Matthews for a second if we can. I've had some people close to Jacoby tell me that they think those two are going to go to school together wherever they land. Are you hearing anything similar to that?
I don't know if they're a package deal, but if they are going to end up at the same school together, it would probably have to be Florida or LSU at this point, which is probably where some Florida fans and some people covering the Gators are hearing some confidence on Jacoby Matthews, at least, just because Jacoby is a one-time LSU commit. There are a lot of positives that LSU has honed in on late in the process that has put them at least in position, from what I'm hearing, as the team to beat, and the ones that going into National Signing Day are the favorites to land him. So if he ends up going to Florida and playing with Harold Perkins, and they end up together, that clearly was something that you heard right on. But I think right now there are two separate recruitments. And I like where LSU stands with Harold Perkins, but things are, it really is one of those wild recruitments now that he's decommitted that it's kind of anyone's guess. You just try to connect the tea leaves, it seems. But LSU sits in a really good spot with Jacoby Mathews. From what I'm hearing, there's a lot of people that are very confident in LSU's chances to get him.
What about NIL? How big of a deal is that going to play for these two guys?
Yeah, I think it's pretty big. I think you look at the guy, you look at Harold Perkins being committed to Texas A&M. Texas A&M was a big player for Jacoby Mathews, and Jimbo Fisher went in home with him last week. And, that's a school that is pushing NIL as much as anyone. You look at what LSU's done lately, the collectives and the booster groups and guys like Gordon McKernan and really, really prioritizing that as of late. And that's impressive. And that's impressing people. And now you can't have those official deals or whatever the gray area it is now. But LSU is right there, I think, in position to, have that all lined up for them like some of these other schools have. It's a big, big factor, I think, for both of them. A lot of these prospects that sign late have prioritized that in their recruitment. And, I think LSU is in position for Jacoby Mathews in part because of that. And, Harold Perkins, they just probably hope that, the NIL impact that they've had as of late is enough to be a factor for them in that regard, too.
Billy Embody's with us on 3 Sports. Big recruiting weekend for the Tigers as they head toward National Signing Day. There's some other prospects that I do want to talk about, but let's talk numbers, though, Billy. LSU signed 13. We know there's a ton of transfers. There's a lot of confusion I know that people have as they try to learn this with the new transfer rule. How many more spots is LSU looking to fill on Wednesday?
So on Wednesday, it could really be anywhere, if my count is right. You've got Harold Perkins, Jacoby Mathews, Trevante Citizen, Caleb Douglas, Jalen Davis Robinson, and I think that's the 5 that are really off the top of my head. Oh, and 6 with Danny Lewis. Those are the 6 targets right there for Wednesday. The Westgate tight end Danny Lewis, who LSU's battling Florida and Alabama.
We're going to talk about his viral moment in a minute. Hang on.
Yeah, what a great video that was. They have 7 spots available, and I think they can sign all 6 of those guys if they want to. If it works out that way, I should say. So they have 7 available. They're at 25 guys who have signed or committed right now, and they can get 7 more.
Okay, so that includes the transfers.
Yes, all of those guys that are announcing on Wednesday have spots. They are available, and they have 6 guys that they're honing in on from the high school range that can all sign. That would leave 1 spot if they got all 6 for a transfer.
Okay, and so theoretically, if they want to, Billy, they could come back in the spring if they didn't get to all of these guys. They'd let a spot open. There was another transfer say after spring that they wanted to add. They'd have that opportunity.
Yeah, if they missed out on Danny Lewis, they could go for a tight end in the portal. I still think they should address the offensive line with 1 more player, linebacker. They've got some areas that they should consider shoring up still.
Okay, now let's just be honest here. How could they possibly miss on Danny Lewis after Brian Kelly jumps on the dancing platform with a spinning camera? And it's now over 8.3 million views on Twitter. We know what Twitter reacted like on Friday and over the weekend. How do recruits react to this?
Well, I mean, we saw Walker Howard have his viral moment with Brian Kelly on the same stage with that Danny Lewis just went over, with Brian Kelly. And I think you look at NIL and the social media aspect of it, and in my count, I mean, Danny Lewis has added plenty of followers from that, and it really is something that you can at least see the power of a fan base in a way, and whether it's giving Brian Kelly grief over his dance moves, which he learned the gritty this weekend. He's getting better, but it's just that kind of power of the fan base, which you find in a lot of SEC schools. But I think it's something that could impress a young prospect who's willing, wanting to build his brand and get involved with NIL at the next level. And Danny Lewis probably took notice of that, but 8 million views is pretty crazy. for what really happened.
Billy, so you mentioned 6 names. Are there any other prospects, maybe off the radar, that Brian Kelly and the staff would consider taking if it came down to a numbers crunch and they had a spot available?
I'm not hearing of any right now.
Okay.
I think one player that if I was LSU and maybe they kind of had to tee this up probably a little bit better than what I've heard from him, but A.J. Allen out of Neville is somebody that I would have been keeping pretty warm. Just in case you missed out on Trevante Citizen, call him up and see if he wants to be a Tiger. But with them in a good spot for Trevante Citizen and having gotten Noah Cain from the portal, I think he's probably out as an option from what I hear. But no, it doesn't seem like there are any others kind of hanging out there, I don't think.
We didn't elaborate yet on Trevante Citizen, the running back from Lake Charles. Can you just kind of give us what's the latest there?
Yeah, Trevante Citizen just finished up all of his official visits, and depending on who you ask, I mean, some people think Florida, some people think Auburn, some people think LSU. I'm in the LSU camp. That's the majority, I think, as far as who's following his recruitment, that's what they think. And it makes a lot of sense. Even Kevin Falk, I heard, signed off on him still going to LSU, talked to Trevante about it and said that's still a place for you, even after, the two sides kind of parted ways. And Frank Wilson's done a really good job recruiting him. The staff that was, in place, the recruiting staff, guys like that, have done a terrific job still recruiting him through the coaching change. And, I just think that's the program that probably holds the best chance to get him. And there's some confidence in that. I know Auburn has done a really good job with Cadillac Williams recruiting him. But from what I'm hearing, I think LSU is still the team to beat for Trevante Citizen.
A Wednesday will certainly prove to be eventful, as signing days typically are, with surprises aplenty, because who really knows fully what high school kids are going to do. I know you have to put in picks and all that sort of stuff over there at On3Sports. Do you want to take a best guess as of right now, Monday at 3:28 Central Time, how Wednesday goes for LSU?
Yeah, it'll probably change it. Monday at 3:45.
I can ask you again. I can ask you again in an hour. That's why I time-stamped it.
I think Jacoby Mathews, Trevante Citizen are two that they get. I would say that I'm cautiously optimistic for LSU's chances with Harold Perkins, but that's one that you would never see me put a pick in. I'm so glad I don't have one in. So I don't have to change it or do anything like that. And I think they sit in a good spot for Jalen Davis-Robinson. I would say those 4 are probably the ones that I hear the most positivity around, with the caveat on Harold Perkins that who knows what is actually going to happen there.
Right. Who can come up with the biggest NIL deal before Wednesday when he puts pen to paper. All right, Billy Embody, On3Sports. Y'all go check out his work. Follow him on Twitter at Billy Embody. We appreciate it, man. Have a great, eventful week.
Appreciate it, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.